Hey, dreamers. So, on this episode, we talk about settling. Well, in this case, never settling. Let's not get gaslit, but let's get into this new episode and we're going to just get right into it. Regina Kids Podcast presents Hey, dreamers. Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. I am your host, Maxi, one part of the Regina Kids podcast that I do with my lovely sister, Rita. These are the bonus episodes. This is me just getting it off my chest or, just different topics that come up that I would like to discuss. But never worry. Me and my lovely sister Rita will be back. Regina Kids Podcast will be back at the top of 2025. And we in December, so it's flying by. But if you're new here, just know that I am a 3-time self-published author. All of my books are available now on Amazon Books and Barnes and Noble. All My Broken Crayons Still Color, Daily Affirmation Book in a Journal, Love You More, Grieving Isn't Easy, and Healing Hurt is actually also available. You can join the experience on Audible, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. If you want to listen to that book, the trilogy, I Am Not Responsible for Your Tears, will also be available on Amazon, Barnes and Noble. It's always available on Amazon and Barnes and Noble, but will be available on audiobook next year. And my newest edition, which is my healing journal, which is available now on Amazon, just let you know that healing is a process and you can get started today with that. Also, if you want to keep up with the Regina Kids podcast, you want to keep up with me and my new books and all things us, make sure to follow us on TikTok or Instagram at the Regina Kids podcast. Or you could follow me, Facebook, Maxi Norman, or Elnor Maxwell on TikTok and Instagram. So, as I said in the beginning, the name of this show is called Never Settle. I know a lot of us are in our 40s, and you'll hear that a lot of people say the dating pool has piss in it. Like, it's so much harder to date now with social media and this and that. And people will gaslight you. People getting into all types of situationships, relationships, but never settling is something that a lot of us say all the time, but I think for a lot of people it's really hard to do because people have these made up lists in their mind of how when you get to this big grown up age of 35 and over 40 and people in their 50s, like people have seen their lives in a different way than what the reality of it is right now. And then it just seems so much easier to accept mediocrity or lower your standards to be on another level so that you can get what people, I guess, what they consider successful or your romanticized fairy tale of what your life should be would have been by the time you reach 35 or 40, even if it's with education or your love relationship. And a lot of times people will just settle. Like, this is the best that it's ever going to get, or that person is the best that you ever going to have. Like, in what world was it okay for someone to just say, that's it, you can't do any better, so you just settle for that? Like, I'm just not gonna live in that mindset that this is as good as it gets, because I can tell you that I'm sure many of us have felt like we were hit ground zero and we were at the bottom, and life is so much better than it used to be. So if you think back, then when you felt like this this is it, like this is the worst that it could ever be, and life got better. So you have to know that regardless of any situation that you're in, that settling should not ever be an option. What made me think about this subject, and it was actually in reference to like relationships, because I feel like when you get to a certain age and you know the holidays are here and you get around those family members and they want to know where your man at, or where your kids at, or oh, you still work at that job, I thought you were going to be doing something better. Like, people allow other people's expectations of where they should be the bar. Like, they set the bar when in reality you set your own bar. I remember like hearing stories of people in like third world countries that have way less than us, and they're way more happier because their bar was already set. If you wake up and you're still able to be with your family and feel loved, then the bar was already set. Like, that was good. They're not settling for a lesser than mindset that we can't be happy every day, or that you can't go out and achieve, you know, goals that you thought you would have reached at 25 or 30 in your 40s, 45, or even in your 50s. You'll see people graduate from college in their 50s or their 60s because that was something that they just couldn't get that off of their mind, or something that they had set in their mind they really, really, truly wanted to do. I just think that when you think about it, when you think about settling, like in any given situation, you are pretty much saying you giving up your right to choose, or your right to be happy with something. You hear people say all the time, like, if you're in a relationship and you continuously let people get away with stuff, then you're allowing them to set the bar on what you're willing to deal with. Like, you'll hear people, I used to hear my grandmother say all the time, like, pick your poison. Like, but I don't want to pick poison, because it's like you pretty much telling me, regardless of the situation, either one of them is gonna kill you. It's like, no, I don't want to pick my poison. Or you'll see when you get older that X, Y, and Z are all the same, or all everybody is the same. No, everybody ain't the same, and people can change, and people can compromise, and people can get to a level of understanding. But the settling part, which is so unsettling for me, is that people will settle for something and know that they're going to be unhappy with it and think that that's okay. Like, in what world is it okay for you to just say, hey, I'm going to accept less than? And the sad part is, most of the time when you settle, you're accepting less than to appease another person. And that's the sad part, because you'll see people be 30 and 40 years into relationships, or 30, 40 years into a job, and live their life in misery. Um, it really made me think about a situation maybe about 15, 20 years ago, where um, I was dating someone, and they were just gaslighting the shit out of me. Like, I knew in my heart of hearts that me and this person were cool, but they weren't for me as far as dating. And they weren't for me as far as dating because even though they claimed to really care about me, they would still always lie and then try to gaslight me like, but you are like, I've told my family members like you the one that got away, or you were the best person for me, or I didn't know I wasn't mature enough to deal with you, or I didn't know how to handle having that type of relationship. But the thing was, even in the friendship, he was he was still a liar. So that that was the thing for me. That was, that was the thing for me. Like, you just gonna keep lying and keep lying and keep lying, and like people will gaslight you so much. Like, he would be in confessionals one week, but if I didn't basically settle for what he was offering, then the following week he would be in a relationship with somebody else. And it's like people will try to gaslight you, or when you don't settle for mediocrity or settle for the things that they're offering, they'll make it seem like you crazy. Like, oh, you didn't want to be with me, so I just moved on to be with somebody else. And it's like you'll see them go through a pattern of just being with people and being with people and being with people and being with people. You be thinking like, damn, well, here I am where people are calling you stuck up or picky, or your standards too high. You ain't never gonna find, you know, all of the things that on your so-called list. But I'm seeing you constantly repeat the same cycle. You with somebody, it don't work out, then you run back and try it again, and enlist some more mediocrity to try to make me settle for it, because you claim I'm the one that you really wanted to be with. But because I'm not willing to settle for pieces, then you move on to somebody else, and you just keep continuously seeing that cycle of that shit not working for them, but you still deciding, for Lord, in my case at that time, me deciding I'm just gonna be by myself. Like, don't let somebody else, because people do it all the time, belittle your standards, um your worth, basically, or make or gaslight you and make you think that you're nuts. Like, oh, you think you too good, or all the things that people say. Oh, you stuck up, or you too picky, or you think you too good, or your standards too high. You have because I've been told that I have a high imagination on what I think that I deserve, and just because I think I deserve it, people will try to downplay it like it'll never happen. But I'm here to tell you that as long as you never settle and you stay 10 toes down on what you believe and what you're worth and what you deserve, then it's just all a waiting period. You just continue being you and continue to put out that good energy, and what is for you will come to you. So I just wanted to, because these bonus episodes, just like my books, are all put out here to motivate, encourage, inspire somebody to keep going and keep pushing, and let you know you're not out here alone. Let you know that you can get anything in this world that you want. Like, you are not limited to your surroundings or the things that um people will tell you that it's not obtainable, because some things, which if you've never seen it, you will never believe it. That's why you have to be open minded to new things and new ideas and new ways of thinking. I remember talking to a former hairstylist turned influencer, and we were discussing how back in the day, you know, as far as the beauty industry, and I think me and my sister discussed this before with her being a former hairstylist and me being a former braider, that to do hair, it was just basically, they put it out there that you could own a shop or work in a shop for somebody else, not knowing that the beauty industry is a multi-billion-dollar industry, and that doing hair is not the end all be all. You can create products, you could create styling tools, and just a whole bunch of other stuff that at the time when I was going to hair school was not presented. It was not something that people even talked about that you could do. Like, you could do celebrities' hair. Like, it was never one of those things where it was like, you would think that once I get into the beauty industry, I can expand my brand into doing other stuff. But since the social media days, you'll see it now where a former hairstylist or, a kitchen hairstylist has turned into a celebrity hairstylist with products and service tools and wigs, this and, on their own hairline, as far as like extensions and making their own color. And, they infuse, the beauty industry with makeup and all of the things. So just because you can't see it, but you could dream it, hey, dreamers, just because you can't see it, but you could dream it and you have a vision for it, is more of a reason for you not to settle or let anybody think that just because they don't know your vision, because the vision wasn't given to them. So they're not going to see your vision and they're not going to be the one working at it. So don't let anybody gaslight you or belittle you or downplay any of the things that you believe that you can achieve, because you hear these like entrepreneurial stories where people started from the bottom and it took 5, 6, 10 years, and now they multi-billionaires and multi-millionaires. And the stuff that people would try to tell them, oh, your little business or your little bag or your little outfits or your little wigs or whatever was never going to achieve such heights. You have to be, sometimes I say all the time, like, you got to be crazy and delusional about your own vision, because sometimes when you tell it to people, even the closest people to you, they're not going to believe it. And because they never seen it, they'll want you to settle for what they're settling for. Because I remember growing up, it was just go to school, work, get a job. And then you find out that you get in corporate America and you'll see older people you work with pass away and then their jobs be posted within the same day, 24 hours even. And it's like, dang, they done gave blood, sweat, and tears to these people. And in reality, they were just a number and they were replaceable even before the funeral even happens. So, so I'll say this, dreamers, if you could dream it, you could see it, you got the vision, work hard, and patience, dedication, all of the things that people tell you on a regular basis. Just don't never settle. Settling is not an option. Mediocrity, it's not an option. Like, we have to get back to our strong hustle mentality where talent, well, people who work hard beats out talent when talent don't work hard. You could be super talented at something, but if you never work hard or you never sharpen that iron, then somebody who maybe was not as talented but worked harder and perfected their skills could ultimately be better. But as always, my books are available now on Amazon, Barnes and Noble. You can listen to the audiobooks on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Audible. And yeah, it's a new week. We are weeks before, not and just a few weeks before the end of the year, before we jumpstart the 2025. So we not settling. We gonna know our worth. We gonna work hard, and hey, we're gonna continue to glow through whatever it is we're going through.